I think I might have just started going live.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What's up? What episode
Episode
14?
15.
15, 15. So what I did want to address, like, man, these motherfuckers be hating, dog.
I know, right? They think I don't know if they're talking about me and you both or just you or like that we're gay. What's going on here?
Yeah, I would just like. I think it's. I mean, you gotta laugh at it, right?
Yeah. That shit was funny.
But there were, bro, like, we're gay because we're talking about women.
Yeah, that was what I was saying because you said she's got a glow to her.
Sorry, bro. You don't probably know how many girls I probably have been able to like. Hey, let's go hang out, man. You got a nice natural glow to you.
Yeah.
I know you don't really wearing a lot of makeup and shit. That's what I like. But that makes me gay. All right, I guess.
Yeah, it's the I'm telling you, bro. I'm not trying to down the MMA fans too much, but I know the demographic a little bit. I know these boys. To be honest with you, right? To be honest with you, my homies, the ones who do the most fucking fuck. I cussed too soon, but my boys.
What happened to you because too soon?
Because I got the monetization back, so I'm like, I don't want to like ruin it. And I
you
heard
can't cuss when you got monetization.
I heard that like the first 5 minutes you can't
Oh, I didn't know that.
of a live.
All right.
All right, so but I just ruined it this time around. But my boys that be doing the most slotting, right? They don't watch too much UFC because they're out on Saturday nights. So a lot of the UFC boys like they don't be getting too much puss, and I kind of know that.
I mean, I wouldn't go that far, but I understand what you're trying
You
to
feel
say.
me a little bit? Like
Yeah,
the
because,
ones.
I used to go to UFC parties all the time though, and all the homies and shit. And all the girls were there and shit. Like, it
Yeah.
was fun, So I mean, there's tales of two tapes.
But the more opportunities you have to go out there into the field. Right. When you ban off all Saturdays, it kind of like screws up your opportunities a little bit. So we're live. We're talking about UFC 311, but we might as well just do like a quick recap, right? Because last weekend's card had a couple big things that happened.
Did you? I don't even know if you. I was thinking about you. I was like, is he really watching these prelims?
You know I wasn't.
No, I knew he was.
You know I wasn't.
I watched it for us though. I watched it for us.
Okay, hell yeah. So anything that is worth talking about.
I mean, yeah. I mean, there was some good like. Here's my main thing. There was only one ranked fight on the card.
Mm-hmm.
That was the girls' fight, right? All the rest of them, the Kopylov versus Chris Curtis.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll start with there. Bro, Chris Curtis got head kicked, right? And everybody's crying because the ref stepped in and called it off.
Right.
Now, maybe he did. He could have. But two things. Kopylov should have jumped on his ass.
Yeah.
I hate when motherfuckers do this walk away.
True.
And Kopylov tried to like say, oh, because, he has a family and I respect him. Nah, bro, because we saw what happened with Renato and Jalen Turner.
We did. And that's an example I'm going to bring up too.
And so and then on the flip side, Chris Curtis, he should have just jumped right up. He shouldn't have waited for the ref to come in and like, oh, hey, come down to you. Like he wasn't completely out, but don't let the judge give you even a chance to say the fight's no longer.
Correct.
And the third thing was that, the ref, he has to know there was only like 5 seconds left. He heard the bell, 10 seconds left. He wasn't like just completely fucking out. He did get on his knee. He could have let it come to the cards. I think Chris Curtis still would have lost.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a thing. And then Cesar Almeida, he got a really
okay, let's stick on the Curtis thing for a second though. Okay, so as you said, right, as far as like him trying to get up and that kind of thing, that kind of deal. With that being said, I think there's two things there, right? He got dropped, right, and he was staggering getting up. But so there's like a 50 there, right? There's like a 50% on that side. And there's another 50% side where it's that Kopylov kind of, this is what I'm kind of equating it to. Like in the NBA, right? When you sell a foul, right? Kopylov sold the knockout. You're kind of critiquing him, and that's fine, right? Like he deserves it, whatever way it comes, kind of, because it's all about perception. But I believe that he sold that knockout, right? And that's what kind of made the referee jump in and stop the fight. Two things on that, though. One, it's the referee's job to not get gamed, right? And number two, like to not get gamed. Like, right, in the NBA, when a player sells a foul, right? Sometimes the ref calls it. Sometimes they're like, "No, you're exaggerating," right?
Right.
So it was his job to kind of not get gamed, and Kopylov gamed him. Okay. So kind of good on him there, I guess you could say, right? But then on the flip side too, I was kind of thinking at first, initially, I was like, you know what? It's not that big of a deal that Mark Smith kind of stepped in there with a second left. But then I heard that John McCarthy was saying that, you know what, it's also the referee's responsibility. Once he hears that 10-second clapper, they're apparently supposed to be counting down in their head from 10. So he should have been aware of how many seconds were left. Right. It's like a rule of thumb. So with that said, he must have been aware of how many seconds are left. And he should have had the presence of mind to be like, look, couple seconds left here. We got 5 seconds left. Kopylov walked off, but there's only a couple seconds left. Let's see what happens. I think he just kind of missed that, and it is what it is. But I just want to finish it by saying this. We've had a situation, right, where Bobby Green and, was it Jalen Turner? Yeah, it was. Where Bobby Green was face down, just getting pummeled, right? Like 20 shots too much.
Get demolished, yeah.
I would rather see a fight get stopped prematurely, right, than way too late. So True. I think Mark Smith is getting a lot of criticism over the fact that
was Mark
Curtis
Smith
is
rep for that fight too?
No, he wasn't. Okay. But he's getting a lot of criticism because Curtis's record now has a knockout versus a decision loss. But let's be real, Chris was going to lose that fight either way, man.
I was going to lose the fight.
And you know, it's part of the game. Like, you can't really. So with all that said, right, I kind of did give Mark Smith blame, but I feel like, you know, it's part of the game. The referees get gamed. It's part of it. And if a referee calls, like I say, right, in the NBA, if a guy flops and the referee calls it a foul, even though it obviously wasn't and the guy just flopped, he's not a bad referee. It's part of the game. Like, it's getting gamed. So I think, like, you got to be careful with criticizing the ref too much if you're Chris Curtis, because it's all in the heat of the moment, bro. It's very hard to distinguish these things. Sure, you can replay it on camera, right, with a microphone or with a magnifying glass, but in the moment, you don't have that, you know, possibility. And 1 or 2 seconds of, you know, being undecisive could really get a guy hurt.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it was interesting too. I went back, and I don't know if you saw Chris Curtis's coach talk about it after the fact.
I did, yeah.
And I thought what was interesting of what he said there was like, hey, there was the eye poke, there was the kick to the nuts that he had to recover from, and there was something else that Kopylov did, and that they had talked about that. Hey, what's going to happen if these things happen during the fight? And so they were kind of saying, you know, basically he was throwing shade at Kopylov, saying, hey, you know, he's using tactics to help him gain strength during the fight, I think. Yeah,
so let me add to that, though, because there's another part of a quote that I heard, and I'm assuming we both didn't listen to the full podcast of his.
Right.
So full disclosure. Right. But I heard another clip on there where he also went on to say that every time he hears that Mark Smith is going to be the referee for one of his fighters, he feels like he's battling an extra factor. And he's just waiting for Mark Smith to fuck up. So maybe in the back of the locker room, he wasn't throwing shade at Kopylov. He might have just been like, in his mind being like, this guy constantly fucks up the referee. So let me like put it out there already. Like, what happens if I get eye gouged? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So that might have been it too. I'm not sure if it was the shade, but whatever the case, he was questioning the referee, like, what's going to happen? And I did hear that quote too, where he said,
and he's questioning Kopylov. He's questioning his tactics. And it's interesting because Kopylov, he did way more than what Chris Curtis did, and he imposed his will in that third round. Chris Curtis had a chance, and he didn't outbeat. He didn't win that third round. Even without the head kick, he lost the fight.
Correct. So that's my biggest point too, is like, you were losing anyway. I don't think there's really any reason to be so upset. Like, whether it was a stoppage or a decision loss, you lost. Yeah. Like, I don't know why you're getting so mad at the referee about it, trying to also tarnish his name, because he's actually a decent ref, dude. Like, there's other refs out there who I'm not too big of a fan of, like that guy who let that fight go way too late for Bobby Green.
Don't leave it in the judge's hand. That's my only thing. Don't leave it in the judge's hand then.
Yeah.
Get the dub.
So
leave no questions.
Right. And I just want to say this one too, as far as what we were just talking about with Eric Nixick. To to say that like we're battling
The coach,
to say that we're battling an extra circumstance here with that guy as his referee. In my opinion, what are you trying to say? Like he has a personal vendetta towards you or the team or Chris Curtis, or he's just a bad ref? Like what are you really trying to say? You know.
He's bad ref, yeah.
But he could also say he doesn't like. Yeah, they don't like each other. Like we don't know. Yeah. And so, what all this because Chris lost anyway, and it's just a knockout loss. And if anything, he was trying to save Chris, right? But then they'll say, "Let me fight. Let me go out on my shield." It's just, I don't think it was that bad of a stoppage, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it's
because it all comes down to that, right? Good stoppage, bad stoppage, and I'm gonna say good stoppage.
If there was a minute, I like what you said, right? I'd rather stop it than someone just get fucking completely demolished like Bobby Green did.
Yes.
But he wasn't like completely out, and Kopylov should. If Kopylov would have jumped on him and got maybe one or two,
and what would have happened?
Well, he would have been done. He would have been
so
without question.
The body language of Chris Curtis, because this is another thing people are saying. They're like, Chris Curtis was looking his way. Look at me real quick. They're like this. Yeah. Chris Curtis was looking his way. Bro, he's got his fucking side to him. He's going to get knocked the fuck out.
He was down, and like the ref literally kind of hovered over him.
Yeah.
And like, and that goes back to get right back up.
But he couldn't. And because he couldn't, if Kopylov chose to rush him, he would have knocked his ass out. Let's just be real. So
yeah, he would have finished him.
Like, it's not that big of a deal. So I guess we could just wrap it up like that.
What I was gonna say is the other fights. People were saying that the Cesar Almeida could have been the KO of a nomination for KO of the year. I was like, it might be too soon to say that.
Because I'm not familiar with Cesar Almeida.
See, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what I mean? Like, we're at the end of the year when we go back and look at all the knockouts. Even Ariel said it. And when we go back and look at all these knockouts, we're going to be like, who? Because you're going to get some really big names. You're going to be like, oh, dog, did you see that knockout, though?
Yeah.
It's just too – all I'm saying is too soon. I don't know. It's too soon to even have that conversation.
It's like, call it the Knockout of the Month award. Because that's really what it is. It's only in January, and you're like 5 months in. It might as well – or 5 days in. It might as well be Knockout of the Week. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've only had like 2 weeks in January.
That I agree with.
It's like front runner for knockout of the year. It's like, no, this is knockout of the month, I guess.
Yeah, it was a clean hit too. It was a clean hit. It just was like it's too soon. And I guess I would just highlight some of the guys that I just knew it too. I knew you were watching.
Yeah, I only caught the highlights and shit. Even if you were really keeping up with the posts on Instagram, like I posted about everything like after the event was over. Yeah. I actually went to the gym. Mid-card.
Kopylov, Christian Rodriguez, Austin Bashi.
Yeah, shout out to C-Rod.
Yeah, a lot of people were on Bashi as a rising star, but Christian Rodriguez came in as a veteran, did his job. Serrano, he had a good mic drop, and he got the drub. He knocked Medic out, which was funny because people were like, "Oh, Medic needs a medic."
Yeah.
Felipe.
Soriano, that was a good one.
Yeah, his mic drop was really good. And even afterwards, when he was at the bar, he was telling him, like, dude, that's me right there. Fuck me.
I know.
Jacoby Smith, a lot of people were on him, like, oh, he should be fighting Bilal. He called out Bilal Muhammad.
Oh, I didn't even know that. But I saw his knockout. Good knockout. Yeah. I'm pretty high on that guy.
Yeah, and it was a good knockout, but I was like, that's way too soon. Come on, let's go for a break.
Of course.
Because all these guys are just trying to they're not ranked.
You know what's funny about that though? And this is like two things. He's DC's guy. So I think DC manages him. So anybody who DC manages, just know they're about it. Because DC's like one of the GOATs. But on top of that, what's funny though is that that's just like the same as Joaquin calling out Conor McGregor. You know what I mean? But it's DC's guy, so I find that funny. Like, what a coincidence. I wonder if he got on his ass as much. Yeah, now something you didn't mention is Victoria Dudakova slapping her coach. Now, initially, when I saw that, I go, oh, they're fucking. They're fucking.
I kind of thought that,
yeah, too. I was like, that slap, they're fucking for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Did you find out?
Turns out they're married.
Oh, Hey, I like that. I like that.
So she actually apologized to her husband as well.
All right.
Want me to read it to you?
He hit it that night then.
Yeah, he hit it. Of course, right? So this is what she said real quick.
Babe, I'm sorry. Babe. My bad.
Yeah. So she goes, the emotions have calmed down a bit. First of all, I would like to apologize to my husband and coach. I was upset that at such a difficult moment, he turned away from me and did not want to go into the cage. This is not an excuse, and I am not looking for an excuse for myself. I did the wrong thing. I could not control my emotions. I set a bad example for athletes and the younger generation. I also want to apologize to sports fans. Thank you for everyone who stays with me in such a difficult situation. So she went ahead and apologized to him about it.
Just realized he's a DV.
Yeah, that was a case right on national television.
Yeah, bro, I wonder like behind the scenes, what's happening at home?
Yeah, I guess he's like the Olympic coach for the Russian team or something like that. Like he's a very respected guy, and he's over here getting slapped by his fucking wife.
Hopefully, he can defend himself.
Yeah, right.
I feel bad for him now, but I'm worried.
Yeah, that was a kind of sad moment, but.
No, I like it now. Now I like it.
Yeah, now that she apologized, but when I watched it, I was like, damn, what'd he do? But I was like, they're definitely fucking. Like, that slap, you already know.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking, like, maybe they're in a relationship, but, like, she was just really angry, but that makes it even better.
Yeah, right.
That makes it even better.
So, I guess they're not going to be parting ways, right? He'll be in her corner the next time around, too. UFC... Wait, let me look at the list real quick, just to make sure, kind of, like, going to... Let's,
You gave that actually a lot of time, more time than I expected.
UFC Vegas 101. Oh, during Reboss.
We didn't even talk about it. That's crazy.
Yeah. But you know what? I heard something. This is what I'll say. I heard.
Respect to her, though.
I didn't watch it. Did you watch it? I mean.
Yeah.
Okay. Any takeaways or no?
No, she did. I thought she did a good job when she got her on the ground and she submitted her. I mean, she got her.
Okay. And I heard that she called, or somebody said, like, do you want to fight for the title? And she said, no, I'm not ready for it.
Yeah, I think she said, hey, one fight at a time here. So yeah, she seemed like she wasn't in a rush. It was a good win.
Okay, so she doesn't really care about that, then neither do I.
All right.
She don't care about title shot, I don't care about it, right?
All right.
Okay, so nothing to talk about. Maybe if she wanted a title shot, we could talk about something. Okay. But she don't want it. I don't really care about her fighting another contender. I don't even know who the contenders are. She's fought everyone. So
I was thinking about, too, like, she got a good booty, but I don't know if it's the top booty in the UFC.
No, I was rooting for Reboss. You already know.
Really?
Yeah. And you know what?
I just rooted for a good fight. I didn't have no stake in the game for either one.
Yeah, I wasn't really rooting for Reboss, but I just like, sexiness-wise, based off what we were talking about last time. What's it called? But let's give Polyana Viana a little shout out, right? We didn't throw her out there in the last podcast, and shout out to Polyana Viana. One of the most beautiful ladies in the UFC. Am I right or am I wrong?
She's hella cute.
Yeah. Okay. Bellator's dead. Before we hop into UFC 311 and stuff like that, we might as well, right? Bellator's dead. Funny enough, you and I met each other covering the last event in history. And looking back, that was like the last day of high school, wasn't it? Type shit. Like the last day of school type shit. Like that felt so unorganized. So like unlike...
I had nothing to compare it to.
Me neither. It's my first one, but like it felt super casual. Like you could do what you want, say what you want. She's telling people like, remember when at the press conference, she's like 2 questions, and you got these kids sitting down asking like 7. Like there's no rules, there's no enforcement. Like it was the last day of school.
It kind of felt like the minor leagues too. You know what I mean? Like it's remember the press conference when the noise of the people coming through?
The Raptors and shit like that, trying to shut down the event.
It was super loud. You couldn't really hear any of the questions. You couldn't hear the ansers.
Yeah. Right, it was. I didn't even hear any of their answers. Truth be told, right? Because
I didn't eat any of that food either.
Oh, you didn't?
Hell no.
I was munching on that pizza pretty heavy.
No, dog, no.
Dude, whenever there's free food like that, I get my money's worth.
I'm hella bougie.
I can't help myself.
I'm hella bougie. I grabbed the water.
Oh, I was even drinking sodas. I never drink sodas, but I'm like, fuck, it's for free? Like, why not?
That's funny.
So, let's see here.
We got to meet Khabib.
Got to meet Khabib, right? But
Umar was there.
Umar was there, right? Yeah.
That's for sure. There was some big names.
It was kind of sick. Ali was there, the manager.
Yep. Javier.
Right. So it's kind of sick to see all that.
The whole Khabib's.
It was definitely a good experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like now when I, go to a UFC event or something like that, if I choose to cover one and I'm around a big star, I mean, I was in the same room like 5 feet away from Khabib. So it'll feel, I guess, less like crazy. Yeah. So it was definitely a good experience, but it felt super casual was my only point. Like looking back, it seemed like that was kind of like the last event. Like that makes sense because it was so unorganized as far as media goes. I think they just let anyone who like applied go. Like I think we were all the people who applied.
Yeah, because I knew some people that I think they applied weren't able to go.
Really?
I think it's like 50-50, you know what I mean? Like they still want to be there and shit, so I can't say, but
all right, fair enough. So I guess now, and dude, I don't really care, to be honest. Like, so I'm not going into this like heavy with a lot of heavy information, but I'll give a brief gist of what I've seen, right? So PFL is now Bellator. I guess like guys like Aaron Jeffrey, right, who just fought on that Bellator card, he's going to be on the PFL roster now. But my questions are like, dude, where are these guys fighting? Like, is Aaron in the tournament now? Like, what the fuck is going on? I think there's going to be two separate things. I think there's going to be a tournament, and basically, like, Bellator will be like the UFC roster of the PFL, if that makes sense to you.
Okay.
Like, the Bellator roster will still fight each other non-tournament style, but then, like, it'll be PFL has all those no names in the tournament. Because let's be real, nobody ever knows who's competing in that fucking tournament.
But is Bellator going out of business?
Bellator, I guess, well, it got bought by PFL, right? So PFL just isn't going to promote Bellator's brand that they purchased anymore. They're going to promote it all under one umbrella.
It's a PFL event.
But I think they're still going to keep the rosters separate, which is super confusing.
Okay, so PFL is the big dog.
The big dog.
They swallowed Bellator. Bellator's out, but they still kept the rosters of fighters that they're going to want to keep.
For example, right? Usman, Bellator champion. He's now the PFL lightweight champion.
Gotcha.
But they still have a PFL lightweight tournament. So whoever wins that, they don't fight Usman at all whatsoever. So that's where it gets confusing. It's like Usman's not going to be competing in this damn tournament.
They got time to clean it all up, though.
Bro, they ain't cleaning shit up. That is like one of the worst run organizations right now.
Well, I guess, and that's why the UFC is the UFC, too.
My thing is this, and I'll give credit to Ariel, right? What's up with all this bullshit? Just give us a fucking organization with good fighters and put them up against each other. I'm tired of seeing like healthcare and all this fucking bullshit. Like, dude, or not even healthcare, but like, like the $1 million tournament over here. Then you got the GFL, right? Who's going to do this revenue share. They keep talking about that. They're signing like 50-year-old guys. Like, cut out all the bullshit. Just get some good talent under a promotion and fight these guys. The problem is all the big names want to go to the UFC because that's the dream.
Sure.
Nobody wakes up and says, I want to be a Bellator fighter.
I saw that Ian Gary clip.
That's kind of what I'm quoting right there.
But, I mean, there's levels to this shit, too. I mean, I think every fighter, if you can't win there, you won't go to the UFC, right? If you're not a top dog in these underlying organizations and promotions, you'll never be able to achieve that dream. So I like that there is kind of a bumper almost, a gatekeeper, a gatekeeper for the gatekeepers.
I guess so.
But I'm not too much into all that.
Yeah, but neither am I because the competition isn't good over there. You know what I mean? If
you're not watching UFC Vegas 101, I know you're not watching.
Fuck no, I'm not watching the PFL. Are you kidding me? They don't got no names. They think that a season format will just build it up.
I'm the Parry punch undercard guy.
What does that mean?
I'm like your I'm your reporter for India.
Yeah. For the lower stuff, right?
Yeah. Give me all your like lower shit.
I like underground too a little bit, but for me, I've kind of broken away from like some of the international up and coming guys. Like, you really got to prove yourself to break through. Like, I can't do anything for you. You don't even speak English. We got a ton of these international guys coming in. They're in their own lane, but it's hard for me to pay attention.
I get that. There's a lot to cover. Yeah.
Right. But obviously when like a Yuri Prohaska came in from like one, I'm into it. But that guy Kai Asakura, right? He came over from Ryzen, doesn't speak English. So what can I really do? Like, I can suck his dick on my page all day, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it'd be better if we could.
I'm really gonna be called gay, bro. Someone's gonna take that clip and run that motherfucker. Oh man.
Anyway, the point is like, you know, I can't really cover him. He like doesn't even speak English. All I can really do is like be like, oh, he's got the sick knockout and shit like that. So there's not much there. Just like Islam too, but Islam learned how to speak English because he realized, you know, American media.
It is interesting that I was watching like the media day today, and how many of these fighters, you know, they're not, English isn't their first language. You don't get all the like drama because they're, you know, there's a little bit of a language barrier there. So it's interesting dude, media day was like 4 hours today.
Were you just watching the whole thing live?
I tried, bro, but that's a lot of information.
Yeah.
That's a lot of content.
I only watched the Merab and Umar ones.
You know what? Are we going to get into UFC? Is that next?
Let me see. Real quick. Yeah. So we could do a main card preview.
So it's interesting, like just rolling into this, what was interesting is like watching some of this media day and watching these guys. There is so many good fights on this card that if you're a diehard UFC fan, you could literally just talk about fucking not going out on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
Bro, if you're fucking a real like loner and you got nothing going on and you just cover the UFC, this is the perfect thing for you.
Yeah, facts.
These 4 hours right now, bro, like it was really good. I like watching it just because I'm intrigued and I want to hear what they say. Like, bro, Yuri is fucking.
I haven't listened to that one yet.
He look. You know the guy on A Beautiful Mind?
No.
You ever watch A Beautiful Mind?
No.
The guy, like, so Beautiful Mind is a guy that's super autistic, super smart math.
Okay.
Remember in The Hangover when they take homeboy to go to the casino and he's doing all like the math and shit?
I think so.
So that's Yuri. Every time he gets asked a question, he's all like,
Yeah. It goes introspective for a minute.
yeah, like I don't know if he's on the. I don't know. This is an interesting interview. He said they asked him. This is why I love this shit. They asked him, it's like, so is Jamal Hill the next best fighter besides Alex Pereira? And he kind of takes it all in. Who? No. I'm the best fighter to be fighting. To be fighting yourself? I don't know.
So that's all he said, that I'm the best fighter to be fighting, and then he's like, that was the end of the answer?
But pretty much, he was like, they asked him, like, is Jamal Hill the next best fighter besides Alex Pereira that you should be fighting?
Yeah.
Who? And he's like, no, I'm the best fighter should be fighting. Like, he's just great, dog.
Nah, I saw another tweet where they said, like, when they met today, when they shook hands on Embedded, they said, what was it? CTE meets schizo.
Oh my god. It was just super interesting to watch. And then he was talking about Mexico because he was down in Mexico training. He was talking about my people and shit. And he goes, yeah, they're very rare. I'm like, what does that mean? And he goes, they're very direct. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of true. I mean, if you go down to Mexico, they're gonna be very direct. Either they love you, they hate you. And he was like, if they love you, they're gonna tell you they love you. If they hate you, they're gonna tell you they hate you. I was like, that's true, because if you know a Latina, she's gonna be super direct with your ass. Like, watch out, fire's about to happen. And he was saying, like, maybe in the European countries, they're a little bit more cordial.
Oh, okay. That's more polite or something like that?
Yeah, and I can see that. See that. Because you think, even Brazilians, bro, they're very direct. South Americans, like, they're very direct in your face and shit with shit.
Yeah.
Even Americans, though, we're direct as fuck. Most of us.
Pretty direct, yeah, I would say. I guess, I mean, even, like, Russians are pretty direct, too, if you'd ask me.
Yeah, people in the Middle East, yeah. A lot of people are.
Right.
So it's perspective, right? And then Merab, too, he had said something about Umar saying that he basically hasn't really fought anybody. And because he's Khabib's cousin, that basically this is kind of why he's been given a chance. He goes, he still thinks he's good and he's young. Probably will have a lot to do in here. He's not going to win today. But it was kind of, he threw a little shade and shit.
Yeah. So I also kind of watched that too. I didn't have too many takeaways because, like you said, you know, with Umar and Merab and stuff, they just don't really have too much shit to talk about each other. But to break some of this stuff down, because yeah, there's not too much trash talking and beef, right? There's just a lot of like breakdown to do on this one.
And he did bring up like when Umar had said, "Hey, you know, well, what are you gonna do about it? Like, you know, I don't like you." And then he goes, and then
he's like, "You're not my father."
Yeah, and then he was like, when I confronted about him, he was like trying to take a step back, like, "No, you know, I didn't really say that." I was like, "No." Then he felt like that was disrespectful. And you know, especially when he said, "Well, what are you gonna do about it?" It's like, "Oh, that is a little disrespectful shit." I'd take that, you know, I take that to heart too. So you know what I mean. But then we try to backtrack it. Yeah, like, I can see why Merab was rubbed the wrong way if that's what happened.
Well, I mean, I guess also, right, because I would even argue, like, who gives a fuck about the respect anyway? Like, you guys are gonna fight. But I guess too, Merab saying like, we were cool before this, and now like to act like you don't fuck with me is kind of like, that's why it's like pretty disrespectful, because like you cared about like being polite to me, you know, before we got booked, and then you started being not polite once you wanted to fight me. So I guess that's one of the big things too, is the face change.
And do you think it's a good question? Do you think once fighters realize, okay, hey, you know, we're gonna be booked, we need to kind of sell the fight a little bit and have some type of animosity, that you kind of change your tactics a little bit and how you behave?
I mean, let me give you, Jamal Hill. I mean, it seems like Umar has done that, but there's an argument that like Ali is the one tweeting those things, right? So
I guess.
Yeah, that's like the argument, right? Whenever these guys tweet out trash talk, they're like, Ali, get off the account.
You mean Ali, the manager?
Yeah, their manager, Ali.
Okay, got you.
You gotta Google him.
No. That's who we met. I mean, we at the event.
Correct. But he's also like, you know, he has a big beef with Conor. There's like some history you gotta look into for him. Because he's kind of like a main character in Khabib's camp. Like, that's why I kind of bring him up a lot. Because he's like, they've put him up to like a main character.
Okay.
So he's such a main character that he manages them, and apparently because they have been bad at English in the past, so he's taken over and really, because like you say, when you don't speak English, you're bad at trash talking. Like, sure, you can learn the language, but trash talking is another ballgame.
Right.
This is where Ali steps in. So that's why nobody ever believes when Umar...
He adds fuel to the fire.
He adds fuel to the fire, but nobody ever buys it. All the fans are kind of like, okay, Ali, no matter whose account it comes from.
Gotcha.
And so I'm trying to say Merab's mad about some of those tweets because he's crediting Umar. And I'm trying to say it might not have even been Umar. You know what I'm saying? Because you're asking me.
So Ali has access to the account, so he could be doing like ghost tweeting and shit.
Right. He ghost tweets for sure. So you're asking me, does like Umar switch it up? Right. And I'm kind of saying like it could be Umar because he has switched it up. He has been talking shit, but I think it's Ali.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think another example to what you're asking is Jamal Hill. That's why he has a lot of fans not liking him right now because of how much he kind of like amps him up and riles him up. But I mean, I understand the game. So if I was in Jamal's position and I was getting that much attention from riling at fans, I'd probably, you know, step into it too. Yeah.
Step into it.
Yeah.
Play the heel a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the more I'm learning about this and the more I told you, like, I've never been a WWE fan. And I was watching some of these documentaries with like Vince McMahon. Mm-hmm. And even some of those A&E documentaries they have about these legends, and Spike TV has some really good ones too. Behind the Ring, or
Dark Side
of the Ring, yeah. It's interesting to see the formula of how they create drama, and the UFC can take some of that recipe to add more drama because that does bring you in. You know, it does kind of get you more involved to pick a side, you know, to build your fan base, and the smart ones roll with that. Like you just said, like you got to step into it.
Yeah. I actually tweeted.
Love you or hate him, fuck it, build a fan base.
Right. And I actually tweeted today just comparing WWE and the UFC.
Really?
I tweeted the thing about how Jamal and Yuri ran into each other. And I also put like the UFC is like the greatest sitcom of all time. You know,
no, really,
the greatest real life sitcom of all time. It's straight out of The Office.
But what's interesting too is that I I took a step back when they had Sean O'Malley and
Aljo
step in the ring. I was like, oh, I don't know if I really like that. But then when I think about it now, you're creating the story.
Putting Sean Strickland and Dreykus next to each other.
Because you're as you build it up, you can use all that footage to pertain into the promotion of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then have these guys kind of go back and forth. It's part of the WWE circus.
Mm-hmm.
And so a part of me was like, oh, I don't like that. That's like fucking cringe and shit. And then another part of me, the more I kind of read into it, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. It's entertainment. They're going to go in there and fight anyway. Fuck it.
Right. I'm all about it. I prefer like, obviously though, not everyone can do it, right? So that's always what it comes down to.
And I think that some of these guys, where I sometimes get, and you've seen me get pissed off, it's when you cross some of the lines of like morals and principles and shit.
Yeah, like a Colby.
Yeah, and there's a few other ones too. I think Sean Strickland's crossed a few lines as well. But you know, everybody's, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah. So as far as breaking down the card goes,
you got Umar or Merab?
I got, you know, it's one of those where like my heart kind of goes with Merab.
Really? Why?
I like Merab, like I kind of said, I think last week. I like his personality. I respect him as a fighter for sure.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and
he's grown on me. He's grown on me, bro.
Yeah, I think he's got kind of like that package we're looking for. I think Umar, on the other hand, is a super skilled fighter, but he doesn't have that package as far as full-on entertainment value. He's just kind of like, you know, got a name because of Khabib, which is fine. It's no doc there. But
he's got 0.
He's got that O. But I just like Merab as a champion a bit more. I find him a little bit more relatable. So.
Yeah,
But I think it's a tough fight, you know? Like, I think Umar could win this for sure. 50-50 pretty much.
You know, I went back and watched the Sandhagen fight. And I was like, Umar beat him, but it wasn't like he like awed me. Like, oh wow, you're really the next best guy at this shit, you know? Mm-hmm. Where Sean O'Malley has had moments where he fucking awed me, like, whoa.
Right.
Aljo has had moments where he's like, damn, that dude's fucking good as fuck. Merab impressed me the last one because he just dominated every single round, and I like he was strategic around it. And you add all those other factors. I'm going for Merab too. I think he's just super gritty.
Mm-hmm.
He has that, like, he just doesn't stop, that bunny.
Yeah. Right.
Just keeps going. I'd like to see him. I want to see how he handles adversity. That's what I'd like to see from him.
Merab.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think Umar has a lot of time. Even if Umar loses this, he still has a lot of time to grow, and he has all the right people around him where he could be a champ. He could more than likely will be champion.
Yeah.
Now, I want to see Merab and Sean go back at it.
Okay. If I were to say one thing, because I think they're very closely matched, right? But I do think Umar holds the striking advantage, if I'm just keeping it honest. Yeah. I think wrestling-wise, we're going to have to find out. Mm-hmm. I don't think you could really say Umar's better, Merab's better. I think we're going to have to find out. I think, you know.
I think it's going to be a chess match. I think they're going to go like.
Yeah.
One or another. Like
right.
rolling. You know what I mean?
Scrambles, and it's kind of going to come down to who's got heart and grit.
Now, now here's a good question for you. The casuals want to see a knockout. Do you think that they're going to be like, oh, this is boring?
No, I think that Merab and Umar will fight like pretty tooth and nail. I don't think it'll be boring. Okay. I don't see that happening. Honestly.
You know, a lot of people don't like to see.
I could see, because I'm looking at the list right now. I could see Kevin Holland, Rainier, DeRitter maybe being a little bit boring.
I think that if Kevin doesn't keep that standing, he's going to get submitted.
And I could see Rainier kind of like avoiding the fight on the feet and Kevin avoiding the fight on the ground, making it boring.
Okay, but then the minute this is Kevin Holland's thing though too. I know we kind of jumped over here. Kevin Holland, that's the opening fight, right? Mm-hmm. On the main card. Kevin better not let fucking Rainier get him on the ground because it's going to be over.
We'll see. I mean, Kevin is a black belt.
Is he?
He's a black belt.
Why is it every time I see him on the ground though, he's like, nah, I can't see him.
You're right, because of the wrestling.
I don't
he gets dominated by wrestlers.
He does. he's explosive on the feet, and he likes to showboat.
Yeah.
I love that about. But if Rainier, that's not his thing. He's gonna try to take his ass down, bro.
And I think also Kevin's gonna try to avoid that, and I think Kevin knows his plan to victory is on the feet. I think Rainier's plan to victory is on the ground. So there's going to be a clash here, for sure. I think, though, that it's closer on the ground. If Kevin goes on the ground, it also might be boring because I don't think Rainier might be able to submit him as easily as you think.
All right.
We'll see. We'll have to see. You got any pick there? I mean,
I want to see Kevin knock him the fuck out and show him, hey, you're not on our level.
Yeah.
And he better have like fucking. I want to see that. I feel like his Achilles heel is his takedown defense.
Right.
I want to see him step in there and be like, no, I practice at this shit, and I'm making sure this motherfucker's not going to take me down, and I'm going to force him to fight me.
Right. Now,
I think if he takes it down, he submits him, bro.
Okay. So we'll have to see. Now, a couple X factors.
I'm rooting for Kevin.
Okay. I guess you could say I'm rooting for Kevin too then.
Yeah.
You know, but I think it's a great fight. I think it's going to be funny that I just said it could be boring, but I like the matchup. It just might not deliver, if that makes sense. It's a great matchup. I think on paper it may not deliver though. But I just want to say one other thing, unless you had something to say to that.
I don't know.
Okay. So the UFC posted the check-in weights again for fight week. So we know what these guys weighed starting like yesterday or starting Monday. So
okay.
to let you know the check-in weight, Kevin Holland 193.5. They're fighting at 185. So Kevin's got like 8.5 pounds to cut. Nothing. And then Rainier weighs 202.8. So he's got about, 17.8 pounds to cut. It's definitely, achievable. So, but I would say that Rainier's coming in 10 pounds heavier than Kevin. That's Kevin's problem, bro. He's very light, and these guys are very physical. Like, he's fighting a guy who walks around 10 pounds heavier than him.
Right. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, so I think
what makes him more like elusive and fast.
But he's not like disciplined enough to cut down to 170. This is Kevin's problem. He's in the middle because he's like, I think he lacks that discipline.
He's a big guy. I mean, how tall is he? Like 6'1"?
6'3", but DeRitter is 6'4".
Yeah, but that's why I think they're in the middleweight. You don't see a lot of 6'2". I guess you do see a couple in welterweight.
Yeah.
That's a good. I mean.
Well, also
that's fucking crazy to cut weight the way they do. I couldn't even understand. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, and that's kind of an argument why the UFC needs to maybe do like a 170, 180, and 190 pound division instead of like, because the 70 to 185, that's a 15-pound jump. That's why Kevin's kind of in the middle. Like, he walks around at 193, so cutting down to 170 is kind of a lot too. But his only other option is the 185.
All right.
Yeah.
I got Kevin.
Okay. Beneil Dariush, Renato Moicano.
Renato went back and said, Beneil is fucking old. I'm going to beat that old guy up.
Yeah, I saw something like that.
He's just comical. That's why I want to kind of go back and watch the media day thing. I want to hear his whole interview. I only watched like a clip of it.
Mm-hmm.
He's entertaining. He's entertaining.
Moicano's entertaining. Yeah. Good fight right here. I think it's kind of obvious, right? I think everybody's kind of riding with Moicano, thinking he's going to pull this one off.
You know what's interesting? He said this last year, Moicano. He said that he started taking this fight game more seriously. I think it was after the Jalen Turner fight. And he goes, before, I just wanted to go in there and brawl. He goes, what I did is I kind of put myself in check, and I started trying to sharpen up my whole MMA game. Because he's good on the ground, too.
Yeah, that's where he's the best. Turner.
But he wanted to stand there. He wanted to give everybody a show, and he was getting some losses.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was just going in there and just throwing caution to the wind, kind of like how Bobby Green is.
Right.
And he goes, I started getting more tactical and having a little bit more fight IQ. And you can see that in some of his fights as he's gone on this win streak. So I think that's what gets him over the hump. I don't think Dariush is going to be a walk in the park. He's a veteran, and he's really good as well. But I think he's been knocked out twice. These past two fights. It's never good for a UFC fighter.
Yeah. I'm going with, I think Moicano is probably going to take it. He's also coming off a win. Like you kind of said, Dariush is coming off a loss. And you said that's a KO loss he's coming off? Two in a row. So,
Loss, he got knocked out by Arman.
Mm-hmm.
and then he got knocked out by I can find out, but he got knocked out too by somebody else.
Okay. I guess the main question on my mind is when does Moicano get that title shot? I wouldn't say he really gets it off of this one.
No. Because he's like, let me see what the rankings are real quick.
But what's the holdup on Moicano? Like, why isn't he getting like a higher ranked contender?
Well, I mean, he just got into the rankings too, though.
Did he?
Yeah, he's ranked number. Oh, he's right under Benil. I believe it's 10 and 9. So
okay.
I mean,
so who's like a top 5? Who's
he needs to fight like a.
He beats Benil. Who in the top 5 can he fight?
So you got Dustin, you got Gaethje, you got Oliveira, you got Chandler, you got Dan Hooker, Gamrot.
Him versus Oliveira.
Yeah, I like that.
But Oliveira is kind of a big name.
Yeah.
So him versus Gaethje, him versus Poirier.
Gamrot too.
Yeah. I think him and Gamrot are at the same gym though.
So yeah, Darush lost to Charles Oliveira, and then he got knocked out by Surikian. And before that, he was on a win streak, bro. He was like on a 7-fight win streak. He was on a fucking riding a high, and then he lost two knockouts in a row.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember he was like all in this, like he was in title talks before he got knocked out by Charles or submitted, whatever it was.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna. It's gonna be it's a great test for him, Moicano.
Okay.
Great.
His age is showing here. What's his name? Dariush's age is kind of showing here because he's coming in super light. He's only 12 pounds over. So
when did they release that? I didn't even know about that.
They don't always do it, but I've known to check up on this since since UFC 310, since Brian Battle missed weight, and I knew he was going to miss weight. Yeah.
Okay.
That's when Max Holloway, he did his picks on YouTube, and Max Holloway was the one who revealed it to me. Funny enough, speaking of the weights, because Yuri Prohaska always says like he wants to drop down to middleweight, right? But funny enough, he's coming into fight week heavier than Jamal Hill.
What is he at, 225?
216, Jamal's 214. But keep in mind, these guys do weigh in with clothes on, apparently. Because I asked Randy Brown about the weight, and he's like, that was me with clothes on. So I think they just stand on the scale with clothes.
How much does clothes add? A pound?
2. Yeah, something like that. So I think that's the next fight, right? We just talked about Benil, so we got Jamal, Yuri. Let me say this one.
Yeah.
A lot of people are sleeping on Jamal because of, like I said, he leans into what fans interact with, which is negativity, right? And his kind of like
Likes to clap back.
his cocky demeanor.
Yeah.
And he claps back. But make no mistake.
Sometimes too.
Huh?
He's a little delusional sometimes too. Like his whole reaction to the Alex Pieta fight.
Right. I will say some of his takes are kind of bad for sure. But with that being said, I don't think skill-wise, across the board, he's better than Yuri. If you say boxing, if you say jiu-jitsu, right? If you say wrestling, I believe across the board he's better than Yuri. But Yuri has a different type of fighting style, which is like his whole like feng shui to it too. You know what I mean? And his spiritual fucking like heart. So
Bruce Lee.
So he has the ability to overcome all of that. You know what I'm saying? Against Jamal. But I'm just saying, on paper, Jamal is a better boxer. Jamal is a better wrestler. Like, so let's see, because everyone's saying Yuri's going to win. And I think Jamal should be the favorite. I think Yuri has a lot more to overcome than Jamal.
You know what the line is on that?
I don't know, but every poll I do, Yuri wins it.
You know, I at first was kind of thinking...
I'm going to look up the odds real quick.
I was at first thinking Yuri, but the more I think about it, even like listening to you, the more now I believe that Jamal Hill pulls it off.
Mm-hmm.
Ball's minus 125. It's close.
Yeah, minus 130 plus 110 on this one.
Yeah. So, I mean...
So Jamal is the favorite, like I said.
And maybe they're putting in everything that you're talking about.
Yeah, the technique and...
Yeah, is wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
I think, you know what, I was going at first last week for Yuri, but I'm switching my stance and I'm going with the homie Jamal Hill.
Okay, let's go with the homie Jamal Hill. So shout out to Jamal Hill. He gets a lot of hate. A lot of his haters are blinded right now, and they don't see it.
I'd like to see him get a clean KO in the first round.
Yeah, that would be sick. But I think it's going to be a solid fight. Really looking forward to it. What?
Yuri will stand with him.
Oh, Yuri's going to stand with him for sure. I mean, Yuri never really takes people down. When have you seen that?
So that's what I like about this fight. It's going to be a stand-up match. And you know what? We'll more than likely see a knockout. And I think that your assessment about the skills was what will get him over the hump. And the fact that Yuri is going to be willing to exchange with him will put him in a bad position, and then Jamal Hill can catch him.
Let me go as far as to say this, right? Because sometimes it's fun to look back, and if you can call it pretty correctly, it's kind of sick. So let me say this. I think Jamal's going to get Yuri in a lot of trouble. I think Yuri's going to be in a lot of trouble in that fight. And the technique, as far as like, you know, Jamal just pressuring him, I think you're going to see like a wilting Yuri. You know how like when Sean Strickland fought Paulo Costa and Paulo was backing up the whole time, just getting pressured? I think that might be how it plays out, and you might get a nasty KO.
And do you think any of them will use leg kicks in the fight as a tool?
Well, Jamal is known for, he has great kicks. So I think Jamal will. I think, again, he's going to be winning on the kick side, and I think Yuri's going to be trying to even it out by kicking back. You know what I mean? But I think Jamal's got the better kicks. Yeah. So
let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
Come on, homie. Don't let us down.
Great fight.
Don't let us down, doggy.
What's crazy is that Jamal's only got 12 wins and 2 losses
in his career.
Yeah, that's only 14 fights. Like, people are talking about Umar hasn't done anything. Umar's at least 18-0. Umar's got 4 more fights than Jamal. And Jamal was a champ like 2 fights ago.
Was that the interim?
Yeah, Jamal he became the undisputed against Glover.
He got injured. That's right.
Right, but he won the undisputed against Glover at like, I think maybe his 12th fight.
Yeah, he put it on Glover too.
Yeah, but Yuri's 35-1. So when people say CTE, I think if anything, Yuri's got the CTE. Jamal's only got 14 fights.
There was that clip that Jamal dropped on his podcast. He was all like, "Man, I don't know." He was talking shit.
Yeah. What was he saying?
I'll see if I can find it real quick. What's the next fight? I'll see if I can find it though.
I'm just gonna look at. Oh, let me bring something up while you're looking at it. Little side note, but it's a part of this, right? And I'd love to get your take. SD Dumas. Are you familiar?
Okay.
He's out of his fight. He was on the fucking phone with 4 Extras like 3-4 days ago. Adam22 just posted a video on the YouTube channel, like an 18-minute video of him arguing with 4 Extras. And then I think he pulled out of his fight like the next fucking day. I texted him. I said, "Yo, is everything good? Why'd you pull out? Like, what happened?" No response.
Really?
Yeah, no response.
Texted him or you DM'd him?
I texted him. And he also, dude, we were trying to get that interview in so much, and he keeps honey dicking me.
Honey dicking?
Dude, I call it a honey dick when you like commit, but then you pull back, like you don't fully commit. Like, it's like this is a honey dick. Like, yo, you down for an interview? Yeah, I'm down. All right, what time you down for? Ghost until like 6 p.m. the next day. Like, that's a straight honey dick.
That's a little unprofessional too.
So, dude, don't tell me you're down. Or even this, like, I'm down tomorrow. Hit me tomorrow. Hit him tomorrow. Ghost all day long till like 6 p.m. Tells me to hit him up the next day. I'm like, bro.
It's unprofessional too, though.
So I kind of, I want to do an interview with him, but it's so hard because he keeps like wasting my days. Yeah. So I can't really plan it with him. I just say, yeah, I'm down. Name the time. And if he does, and he hasn't named the time, he keeps not naming the time.
I don't know. In my opinion, it's super unprofessional. He goes, yeah, y'all must forget. This is Jamal Hill. Y'all must forget.
They got you in favor to win right now.
I don't pay attention to no eyes, bro. I don't pay attention to no eyes. What I do know is y'all must have forgot. It's gonna be fun getting back out there, mixing it up, and finding everybody who the fuck I am. Everything's feeling great. Everything's feeling locked in. I'm ready to go, man.
Let's go, Jamal. Let's go.
Must have forgot, motherfuckers.
I want to say one last thing about Jamal.
My bad.
What?
Can't cuss. I forgot.
Oh, no, it's all good now. One other thing about Jamal, before he even became champion, I was fucking with him heavy, you know, and I will admit some of his bad takes have got me, like, forgetting about some of those moments back then. But I remember, like, before he became champ, I was like, damn, this guy's a pretty good fighter. Like, before all the antics.
Yeah.
I was looking at him and I was like, this guy's a pretty good fighter. So I haven't forgot about you, Jamal Hill. Anyway. Merab Dvalishvili, Umar Nurmagomedov, we already broke it down. Is there even anything else to say?
Can you say the last name,
Merab Dvalishvili?
Oh, hold on. Merab
Dvalishvili?
Dvalishvili.
It's kind of good, but you're putting like an A in the middle of it. Like you're like Dvalishvili.
Dvalishvili. My bad, Merab. Merab, don't beat me up, dog.
Merab.
I want to do a skit with you. You teaching me how to say it, bro.
Merab. One more time. Merab Dvalishvili.
Merab Dvalishvili. Merab.
Can you say Umar Nurmagomedov?
Umar Nurmagomedov.
Okay, that's kind of good.
Yeah.
Okay.
You gotta like roll with that one though.
Yeah, you just kind of like, you just let it go. Yeah, you just let it go. You just let it ride.
Yeah.
Once it starts, you can't finish that one.
Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Oh, you kind of like Nurmagomedov, like nerd.
Let's stick with that.
Yeah.
Fighting coach?
Oh yeah. What's up with that?
Like, Dennis are like, bro, you got all the money in the world. You're writing coach.
That was kind of funny though.
And your ass don't want to move?
Yeah.
You're like, nah, fuck that. I ain't moving.
I don't know what the deal was with that. That sounds like I think a couple of those sides were wrong. I'm sure Khabib was having a hard time communicating to some degree or something like that. Like, I'm sure it wasn't just all the lady.
I think they told him, like, hey, if you're going to sit in this seat, you have responsibilities.
Yeah.
And it sounded like he was like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Or it sounded like when they went up to him to confirm, he, like, ignored her for the first few asks. Something.
And you got to have a little bit of... it's funny. This is like ironic.
Yeah.
Me saying you got to obey. Because anybody that knows me knows my ass would have been like, nah, fuck that. Nah, no.
But then you're going to waste a few hours, like, reboarding.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, but my ass is just, I don't like authority. I don't like listening to fucking rules and shit. So it's ironic me saying you should move.
Yeah. But, I mean, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, you could have just moved. But then you kind of like, I don't know. Is that an L?
Is that a what?
Is that an L on camera? Because, you know, he might have been like, people are filming this shit. I'm just going to fucking like take it there.
He was being stubborn.
He was being stubborn.
Yeah, because he could have just been like, all right, I'll move. Fuck it.
Like, why not?
Yeah, I think what happens is you get in your mind, you're like, no, I don't want to move. I paid for a ticket. I'm not moving. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Get me to where I need to go. I'm sitting here.
Because, I don't know, if it was me, I would have definitely been like, all right, yeah, just give me another seat.
Mm-hmm.
Like, fuck, I don't want to be in charge of everybody anyway. Like, find someone else to do it.
In hindsight, I would have done.
I would have been like, yeah, just find me another seat then. It's all good. Yeah. I don't even care that much.
I think it's the way she approached him that kind of pissed him off. And, like, rubbed him the wrong way. And I think once he got rubbed the wrong way, he was like, man, fuck you, bitch.
Was he kind of like, listen, come get your guy. I ain't listening to you. Was that it? He ain't listening to her.
You know when it's a funny story. The other day, and I respect all the mailmen out there, male women.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting my mail. Same story. I'm getting my, not the same story because I'm not in the plane, but I'm getting my mail, and you know how sometimes they open up all the mailboxes?
Yeah.
And they tell you, no, you can't get your mail. You have to wait for them to complete everything.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck that. I'm grabbing my mail. I got shit to do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he got so pissed, bro. I was like, what are you going to do? You're going to call the cops? Am I going to jail for fucking picking up my fucking mail? I got mad. And you can just tell, bro, he was super pissed at me too. He was super pissed at me. And I told him, I saw him again afterwards. I was like, bro, you could have just asked for my ID if what your problem was is not knowing if that was me.
Mm-hmm.
Just ask for my ID. I'm going to get my own mail. I don't give a fuck.
Right.
But a little rude.
I got something to say about that. You might have been a little bit rude, but I can sense kind of what happened there, which is a little prickiness that might have came off of him. And let me just assume, right, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong, but what I notice when I kind of have encounters like that, the thing I don't appreciate is, like, I don't like when somebody's, like, working a job, so they use that as an excuse to maybe, like, not be kind of, like, friendly or, like, be a little rude.
And they want to push their power a little bit.
That's what I'm saying. Just because, like, you're the mailman, you're not going to treat me like a human. If we just walked by each other man to man, you wouldn't be talking to me the way you're talking to me. But because you work this job, because I've also had it in restaurants where I've had, like, a rude server when somebody, not me or necessarily, but when somebody's asking for too much or, like, complaining, and a server is, like, kind of rude or, like, just kind of, like, talks in a tone. I don't know. I don't like that. It's like a tone.
Talking down on you.
Yeah, talking down.
And I think in this instance, when we compare it to Khabib, there were some people were saying there's a lot of racial undertones.
She kind of treated him like not a human, right? She's just talking at him, like, kind of like,
no, sir, you need to move.
Like, when I say not a human, I mean, like, I feel like what people do sometimes is to make their job easier, they just kind of become jaded, and they treat everybody as if, like, they don't get credit. Like, they're all one level of shitty.
Yeah, no respect.
Like, I don't have to respect anyone because I've been burned once or twice, and now I'm jaded, you know?
Yeah. And in this situation, the racial undertone is, of course, magnified because he is Islamic, right?
Correct.
So, you know, Muslim. So if you were to take all those into the, you know, variables into the equation to see how she reacted and how she treated him and maybe what other people were thinking, you know, it's almost like a double-edged sword, because there's Muslims are going to get a bad rap for a lot of things that have happened within the world when it comes to terrorism.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the way you do look. So you are being, in one aspect, racially profiled.
Right, because I think the lady said she wasn't comfortable, right? She, like, made a decision to kick him off.
But she didn't know that's Khabib, though.
I guess not.
Evidently.
Yeah.
She didn't know that he's a fucking GOAT in fucking the MMA world. Because if you looked at the Frontier Airlines comments, you're getting roasted. Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you two things. A devil's advocate, if you will. Number one, because I think the only thing that you can really point at being racial was the saying, like, you know, the language barrier, right? I think there was something brought up about the language barrier that the lady had said, like, you didn't understand. We're trying to talk to you. You're not giving us responses, right? So number one, how do I put this? You think it had to do with, like, this profiled him based off, like, a language type thing, or, like, that's what people are assuming?
Because
even Khabib said, what was it? Racial, national?
I mean, if you were to take him in a lineup and not know who he was, you would think he's Muslim.
Right, and you think that he got profiled a little bit like that, like, this guy's unresponsive, he looks like one of those Muslim terrorists. Can I just say that?
And you add the language. Then you find out, okay, he's not speaking. You could tell English not his first language, right?
So his language fits his look.
Right. So that's racially profiled to the T, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like a police officer pulling me over and be like, "Oh, you're fucking we want to deport your ass."
So it escalates. If a white guy with a good English accent acted the same way as Khabib, which we don't know for sure, but let's just say he ignored her on the first 3 times of trying to confirm. I mean, to be honest, I might have been in an exit row before, and nobody ever physically. Let me say this, because I'm just coming to the top of my head. I might have been in an exit row before, and I don't believe anyone's ever come up to me and said, "Hey, are you okay with that?" I think on the speaker, it says, it, like, gives you the rundown, like, you're next to here, you're in charge. If you don't like that, say something now. I think you have to physically say something. I don't think the flight attendant comes up and confirms it with you. Do they? I mean, I'm kind of guessing, but
I think I've been asked before, but I think maybe it's been a hit and miss with me. I don't remember all the time.
So let's say it is protocol. Then let's err on the safe side. Say it's protocol to ask somebody. If it was a white guy who didn't respond to the flight attendant's first 2 or 3 asks, do you think she would kick him off the plane or try to move his seat? Because if it started with moving seats, so do you think she would try to move his seat? No.
I just don't.
Because if he said, "Oh, I just didn't hear you. Yeah, I'm down to sit here," she'd be like, "Okay, fine."
Let's see what he said here. First of all, I need to clarify that it was fly, not Frontier, not Alaska. A lady who comes with me questioned was very rude from the very beginning, even though I speak very decent English and I can understand everything and agreed to assist. She still insisted on removing me from my seat. So right there, like, hey, you're already coming in hot. You're already coming in rude. Nah, bro. Like what you just said, when people kind of push their power and kind of like talk down to you. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what I'm hearing.
That could have been when it came to him putting his bags away or like, you know, whatever the case.
And then
when he was entering the plane.
What was the base for that? Racial, national, or other? I'm not sure. But after 2 minutes of conversation, she called security, and I was departed from the aircraft. And it's almost like, hey, sir, if you're not going to listen to what I'm going to tell you, we're going to call security on you. So that's a power move. You know what I mean?
And you're kind of instigating it by talking down on him. Like, you're challenging him to disagree with you so that you can exercise your power.
And when you add all the... Because there's a lot of people on the flip side. Let's say the Sean Stricklands of the world. Sean Strickland's been throwing a lot of hate towards people that are Muslim lately, you know?
Yeah, I don't even pay attention to it.
I don't either, but there's a lot of people that think like that, though. Mm. You know, and you can get bad with any racial. Like, there's bad Mexicans, right? There's bad white people. There's bad Muslims. There's bad British people. You know, any race, you're gonna have one or another. You know?
Right.
But there was a little bit of a tone there, and you know, that could have been handled in a way better situation. And I think it just goes to show you the temperament of our society. Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
And the planes are weird. Planes are weird, right?
Planes are weird. You know, you always have these moments on planes.
Because he really didn't do anything wrong. He argued a little bit.
Yeah, I guess, like, okay, to finalize that little thought. Yeah, I mean, when he was just sitting there, and it basically came down to, like, okay, I didn't understand you. Whatever you're saying that, like, I didn't want to do or I wasn't complicit with, I'm down to do it. Can we please move on? And the lady took it upon herself to be like, no, we can't move on. In fact, like, we want to move your seat or it's done with. Again, escalating the situation. He kept saying, like, no, I'm fine. Like, I'm good to sit here, I promise. And that's, I think, one of the bigger things, too. Like, if he had said, like, no, and then refused to move seats, I could see an argument. But he was like, oh, I didn't understand you. I'm down. It's all good. Let's move on. And she took it upon herself to keep bitching.
Yeah, and let's think about this. Knowing who he is, one of the baddest men on the planet, like he's a weapon, you know. He really held his composure.
Yeah, that was good to see.
Yeah, he didn't.
I respected it.
He didn't get up and get her in her face. See, me, I may have clapped back. He still held his composure. He may have not done everything that she wanted, and she didn't start. It kept escalating. But I give him credit. He got up. He walked off.
He didn't raise his voice whatsoever. No, I respected that.
But really, the clip was like, hey, he kind of argued back, but not raised his voice.
He was simply like, listen, like, I'm down to help out. What you're telling me now to do isn't right. So, like, whatever you have to do, because I'm not going to listen to you. Like, you seem to be, like, what's the word? She seemed to be kind of, like, on one, if you will. Yeah, she was on one. He's like, it's over with. Like, just go get your guy. Like, you're on one. Like, let's move on. I said I'm down, but if you don't want that, then let's move on. Like, go get another guy.
Yeah, and it goes back to what you said, just being that jaded and just having no empathy anymore, and just.
I think a lot of people lose their empathy when they're working. Yeah. Like what happened when you're at the mailbox.
Yeah, and it's because you deal with so many assholes that you get to that point where you just like it's just cut and dry.
You're like saving yourself, you know.
Yeah, this is how it is, sir.
Right.
Call security. Security, get him off.
But then you're gonna find the wrong guy, you know, who doesn't appreciate your fucking tone, and isn't just gonna let it slide.
Will Khabib be in the corner for Islam?
Yeah, he should be in the corner, right? Hey, okay, so I just want to.
I think Connor was in on it.
Oh, I know, that was funny as fuck. Connor with his fucking like Halloween costume. A couple things I want to just say before I forget. Let me say.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, a couple things I want to say before I forget. Number one, PFL. There was one thing I wanted to say about it, which is how they dropped their bonuses down to 100K. They shut down Bellator. Obviously, Francis Ngannou got paid like $10 million from PFL, right? So one of the biggest questions, I think it's so obvious to see, like what happened? Did PFL did Francis take all the PFL's money? Like Francis gets $10 million, and all these changes happen. Nobody can be honored in their contracts. Like, I feel like Francis took a lot of the PFL's fucking money, and they've been like scrambling to make ends meet after paying out $10 million.
I mean,
and didn't his opponent get a guaranteed multiple million? I think that was part of it. When he signed, it was like, I get 10 mil, and then my opponent gets like 5. And that was his claim as like for fighter pay.
He already fought the first fight though, right?
He fought Henan Ferreira.
Knocked him out, right?
And knocked him out. And I think Henan got multiple millions to fight Francis. Because Francis was trying to say, like, I'm for fighter pay. But now he doesn't speak up at all.
But imagine this. You're going up against a Goliath of the UFC. You know you're going to be losing and burning money just to try to bring talent. So you got to bite that bullet. And that's a lot of businesses, bro. A lot of businesses lose money on marketing or things of that nature to try to raise the awareness for their brand to get to the next point, to be an Apple, to be a Microsoft. You know, there's a lot of businesses do that. So, I mean, it comes with the game. Yeah.
The real question is, right, and what are you going to do? Pass up on Francis? But if your ass or if your mouth writes a check that your ass can't cash, you know, then you're going to fold.
Yeah.
So if they really are scrambling to get ends meet and pay the rest of their fighters after they just like gave Francis all their damn money, that is crazy.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy. And shout out to Francis, I guess. Get the bag, I guess.
Yeah.
But just know that a lot of fighters are getting screwed over if that is the case because of how much he got paid. The other thing I wanted to mention is I actually saw you tweeted this. And as you know, I don't just post whatever everybody's posting on social media as far as like the daily news, right? Mm-hmm. And what does everybody like to post? These gay ass motherfucking shorts, bro.
Oh, okay. I'm like, where are you going? Okay.
So I'm trying to say, I agree with your tweet, but not even just because I saw it. Check how long ago I posted about shorts. The only time it was cool was when Max Holloway like asked for it and like did this whole little promotional thing behind it. Ever since then, they normalized it, and once it becomes normal, it's not post-worthy. So that's my thing, and that's why I don't post about it anymore, because there has to be like origination to it. Like Max asked for flower shorts, and people like got behind him. But like now it's just this thing where it's like everybody gets it because Max started it.
Yeah. So now it's become like a thing.
They took Max's swag, and so that's why it's like it is cool, but like, bro, this is the same thing as boxing. Boxers have these custom shorts all the time. When does somebody post Tank's shorts?
Right.
It's gay as fuck. But again, all these blogs just post shit because they want the content. They see that it goes viral, and they're all gonna post it. And I'm just like so tired of it, bro. Be original, man.
I see what you're saying. I didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
I just always keep saying shorts. I'm like, who cares?
It's annoying. I find it really annoying, to be honest with you. Like
even when I saw Max's shorts, like, all right, that's cool.
Yeah, and I didn't think that, like, again, I thought that was like a moment because it hadn't really been done at that time. Like he went on his own and was like, give me some custom shorts.
And it was kind of like on his vibe for like Hawaii and shit.
Right. Let me give you another example, right? Do you remember when Bryce Mitchell was asking for camo shorts?
No.
Okay, so Bryce Mitchell actually started this. Bryce Mitchell did back in the day, like a few years ago. He was saying like, give me my camo shorts, and he finally got them.
The rapper?
Bryce Mitchell, the rapper.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that kind of thing, like, I think it's cool. Like, I think it's kind of fun. Like, it's original. But when you take another fighter's original idea, and then, like, another fighter does it, and then that also goes viral, and then the UFC is like, okay, we're just going to do this for everybody. It's like, okay, fine. Like, I see what you're doing. Respect for, like, seeing what's popular and jumping on the trend. But all the blogs, this is a message to you. Stop just posting, like, the gayest shit. Like, I'm not even going to elaborate past that. Just stop posting the gayest shit.
Everybody's looking for content, yeah, but I feel you, though. I feel you.
It's annoying. And, you know, shout out to the gays out there. Nothing bad. You know, nothing bad.
Roasted, bro. We have the LBG community up in here.
It ain't nothing bad. You know what I'm saying. This is just how I talk. So, I want to get those two things off my chest, and now we can wrap up the main card.
All right. Oh, yeah, I got 10 minutes, so all right.
Okay. Islam Makhachev, Arman Sarukian.
Want me just kind of my initial.
You can. I got a couple thoughts about Arman.
Okay. I'll just say this. I think that Islam is chasing his legacy. Chasing his legacy. 14 fights in a row. Anderson Silva, one of my favorite fighters. 16, the record, which is crazy to think. And I don't think when I went back and watched the Arman versus Charles fight, it was a pretty close fight. He didn't dominate Charles Oliveira. He almost had a couple moments where he got submitted as well. And I think Islam's just he's gonna be a legend in this sport. He's gonna be a fucking GOAT. And this is just another step into that next goal of his.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to see the fight, excited to see how it goes down. I think Arman's, proved that he deserves to be here. He's impressed me too. I like hey, he's a very well-rounded fighter. And I'm interested to see how these two now line up after been 5 years of them competing and building and growing to show us now how much they more have evolved. But I think Islam's going to have the edge for sure.
I think Islam definitely has the edge. Kind of all around. I think he's the bigger guy. He's the more skilled guy. Let me see how I want to break this down. I think the main takeaways for me going into the fight that I'm kind of like, thinking about a lot is Arman has a couple like weird quotes going around. And one of them is like, I think first off, he says like he doesn't care about being champion. Like it's like whatever to him. So it's funny, like once you get up to that, now it's like whatever to you. It's like almost as if you're like pushing off that pressure. Mm-hmm. Like you don't want that big pressure of like it means something to you because you don't want to carry that burden. So it seems like he's walking back and be like, it doesn't mean anything to me, but it's cool if it happens. Because I guess like, I don't know, he's playing this card now where it's like, I'm like this rich kid who my life is fine with or without like winning the title.
Interesting.
I've been seeing like things like even in media day, I saw something where it's like, what would you be doing if you weren't fighting in the UFC? And it's like hanging out on my island. Like he's giving off this weird ass rich demeanor all of a sudden. And I know he's always had money, but I'm just saying he's leaning into it or something, like not caring about like being champ. Number 2 is that he said once he becomes champ, if he wins, that he's only going to be chasing money fights. So again, he just doesn't really care about the sport. It's seeming kind of like odd.
Well, it feels like everybody's trying to take a page from Ilya Topuria. Because I kind of feel like that's how Ilya is. Like, I just want the big money fights. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, Ilya does have that, like, we've talked about it before. I'm better than everybody else.
He's also got that little rich kind of like thing going on.
Entitled. Yeah, entitled.
The Floyd Mayweather type thing.
Yeah. Well, Floyd Mayweather, he came from humble beginnings.
No, but they got the money Mayweather persona.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, once you get that, but once you get there, but, but Mayweather had so many wins, you know what I mean? Like, that's different.
A little different.
Around yourself, right? These guys are still trying to scratch just the surface.
Yeah, but Arman's already made it apparently financially.
and hey, more power to you if you have.
No, yeah, it's all good.
Islam,
Islam's rich too, but he never says the title doesn't mean anything to him. That's my point.
Because it does mean something.
Right. The legacy means everything to him. And Arman seems to like be wiping out. Legacy means nothing to him anymore.
It is kind of weird. Like because that's the reason why you train and wake up every day.
Correct.
Even the average person that's not a fighter that has goals with whatever arena they're in, business, social media, fitness, we can go down the train, right?
Right.
Of things. You wake up every day and you go to sleep hopefully pretty early. You're trying to do all the right things in your life because you're trying to achieve certain things in your life to get to the next level of whatever that case may be. In this instance, it's the belt, or it's the fighters in front of you. It's the point to become champion.
Right.
That there's a bro. That means something.
It means something.
I mean,
that's what they're all kind of fighting for, apparently.
They did.
So that's where I'm kind of like, if you don't care about that stuff, Islam cares about his legacy more than anything, and it doesn't matter how rich Islam has been already before winning the title. He cares about his legacy. So if you're telling me you don't care about your legacy, you don't care about like being a good champion, Islam does.
Yeah, I'm interested. He was talking about that at Media Day today.
I think Media Day, the quote about living on his island was brought up. Somebody said, like, what would you be doing if you weren't a fighter? And he's like, drinking on my island. Like, Islam wouldn't even be drinking if he was on an island. And so Arman's just kind of like putting that out there. And then from a different interview, like from a podcast.
He's young too.
It got clipped.
I'll give him a little bit of a pass. He's young too. He's like, what, 28?
Something like that.
Yeah. I mean, get a little, I mean, I don't know. Let's see. Because I know he works hard. He's training hard. You know, he's gotten into his position of doing all the right things and getting some streaks under. So, I mean.
I'll end it with this kind of. This, you know, once the guys get to the top, something I've noticed, once they get to the top, which is like that title shot, you really kind of see certain things come out, right? Because there is a lot of pressure. He's getting a lot of interviews. And so the truth happens to slip out here and there. And so I think sometimes, you know, when you hear something like where he says like, I don't really care about being like champion, I think you kind of see those are little cracks in like your confidence, like getting shelled out from all the content you're doing, you know? And I think it just comes with the pressure. And so I've noticed it with other fighters too, where like not even a title fight, but like MVP Ian Gary. Like MVP was cracking on Ian Gary as far as like the build up to that fight. Like MVP was breaking in the press conferences and like he's smiling at him, but they're supposed to have beef going into it. Like a lot of guys will talk that shit. And then once they get up to that moment, if it's really big, they start to like make it less than what it was. Like I'm elaborating, but let me just say this part.
MVP kind of the air out of it.
Yeah, they sucked the air out of it because MVP was blowing up this big old balloon with Ian Gary, right? BBL Gary, blowing up the balloon. And then once he gets to a face-to-face with him, he starts smiling. Yeah, and it's like you're just sucking the air out of the beef because you're scared. Not to call MVP scared, but that's what you give off.
I would say this to add on top of this conversation that there are certain guys in every arena of sports, they just want to be the best. They don't give a fuck whose feelings they hurt. They don't give a fuck what's in front of them. They are so laser focused. Tom Brady had it. Kobe had it. Jordan had it. Anderson Silva had it for a little while. GSP had it.
Right.
GSP, Khabib has it. You know, these guys,
Islam,
they're just so laser focused that everything else just doesn't matter because I want to be the best of fucking all time. And certain guys just have that. I don't know if Armin, hearing what you're saying, I don't know if he has that.
I'm seeing the crack in his fucking persona. Yeah, I'm putting it out there.
And even a lot of times too with Sean O'Malley, it was like, bro, like I felt like a lot of the antics, you kind of lost your vision of being the best of all time. And now you have the loss, you got to start all over.
Yeah.
That's the difference between winning and losing. You got to start all fucking over of trying to be the greatest of all time.
Right, as far as building up that momentum, that streak.
I'll never forget what he said. He acted like, even though he would reign so long, he always knew there was someone coming after him, and that's what fed him.
Who?
GSP.
Oh, yeah. GSP was a great champion.
Because what he said, he goes, when you're waking up in like silk sheets and you fucking, you know, can afford anything you have anymore, what's motivating you now? What's the, do I really want to go to the gym today?
Even, like, let me say this one, too, because you didn't name drop him. Ilia Topuria, he's rich, right? He's got that persona. But let me tell you, he cares about that title. He cares about his legacy.
And he seems to be, and it's the competitiveness. You know, that competitiveness that you have to like, nah, dog, I'm the best.
Right.
I'm the best.
He never once has said, doesn't matter if I don't win the belt.
Right. And a lot of it starts from there. Like, and so, I mean, with answers like that, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we're about to find out.
Because I think they said something like, we'll end it right here, but I think they said something like, how much does it mean to you, Arman, to like become the champion? And I think Arman's like, well, it doesn't mean that much. Like, I think, you know, and like, it was one of those answers. Instead of being like, it's everything to me. If I don't win this, like, I'm fucked. Like, it wasn't like that. It was like, well, I mean, to be honest, it's not like what you're making it out to be. Like, if I win, I win. But if I lose, then I still have potential. You know, it was one of those things.
Yeah, no, you gotta say it with your chest.
Yeah, facts.
You gotta say it with your chest.
All
right.
right.
You did say I'm gonna be Islam with a secret move. I mean, I don't know what that.
I know. We'll see this fucking secret move. Let's see if you can hit it on him.
All right, so we both got Islam.
Yeah, we both got Islam.
I am keeping my eyes out on Zachary Reese. I really think he's a really good potential.
So he's got that short notice opponent.
Yeah. I think that he reminds me of Joe Alvarez, Esteban Ribovics. Like, I think these are guys we're going to really be watching out for. Zach Reese gets another win. He's going to be in that top 15. We're going to be having a new crew good of guys. Like, we're talking about welterweight. We're going to be talking about, like, the lightweight division. We're going to have a crew of guys who are like, all right, here's our top 20 guys now. So I'm really excited to see him fight. The whole card stacked, bro. Are you going to be watching some of these undercards?
Yeah, I'm going to be tuning in. You know what's crazy is we couldn't even really.
Text you, dog.
All right, yeah.
Hit
me up. Maybe we could even do some type of stream because my homie's actually gonna be at the event, so I'm just gonna be by myself watching the fights.
You know what's crazy is like I was gonna buy the tickets and I got sick and I was like, you know what? It's $750 for the nosebleed. Grant Dawson was the other guy. I was high on him and he got that loss for his Bobby Green, but he did get another win, so I can see him. He needs that win.
We also got Peyton Talbot.
Homegirl, Peyton Talbot too. Eileen Perez. Yeah. Hey,
I fuck with Eileen.
You guys one of the best booties in the UFC.
Yeah.
And she likes to twerk.
Because you mentioned Zach Reese, let me say this. Because Zach Reese 8-1, right? Asmat Bekaev 18-3. And I'll say this. Asmat, I believe, is certified. So if Zach Reese, and apparently he's a minus 230 favorite over Zach Reese on Tapology. So let me say this. If Zach Reese can beat Asmat, Zach Reese is certified.
All right. Oh, I like this now.
Yeah. But I'll say right now, Asmat's pretty much certified.
All right. And so let's see. Do like a little watch party then. I think I got a couple other homies that want to do it. So yeah, I'm down to do like at least a watch party for the Holland fight.
Okay. Yeah. Let's work on it.
Okay.
I don't know how because I don't know if prelims will be better because it's free. Main card's like, because we could just watch it. We're not going to put it on the TV, right?
Yeah. It'll be a watch party.
Yeah, we're just watching it with them watching us.
Yeah.
Okay, for sure. All right, let's end the stream.